when I work out of WorkClub, and I've had the privilege of working both out of your Supreme Court location up near Hyde Park in Sydney, as well as here in Barangaroo, which is of course your latest project. I do get the sense that it's very much a living ecosystem. It's doors opening, and it's coffee happening. It's the white noise. It's people bumping into each other. Again, by design. But it's hard to go past just the attention to detail, the design, the sustainability, and I guess also how that ties back to, even from a diversity perspective, even though you as a person, Soren, you've been living all over the world, gathering, inspiration from how you can see, physical space also facilitating great innovation. And I guess in an era where we're all talking about, what does the future of work look like? Do we still believe in, having the 10-year lease from a corporate perspective? As an entrepreneur, you've been inspired by the lean startup by Eric Ries, and you want to keep your costs low, but still, get access to some of the smartest thinkers around the world. I guess I'm curious just to see, even in your own experiences, diverse experiences, how did that play out when you decided how to kind of design the space and make it, I guess, an extension of your own personality, but also really catering for the diverse needs of your members?
So I think there's the physical element, which is all the pieces that we pick, and I pick, everything in here is from small factories in Europe, made by people that I personally know and have known for a while, and I love what they do, and they love what they do. They're passionate about it. And these items, whatever it is, whether it's the table or the chairs, they're going to last for a long time. I don't see that as elitist. I see that as a sustainability, not throwing out. Buying it once. It's a very Scandinavian cultural thing, and it's everybody does it. They buy a good sofa, a good chair, and it lasts for 30, 40, 50 years, and you hand it down, to the next generation. It's normal, I think, and it's part of how I view sustainability, and how I think it's you buy so it lasts, and you try and create in your design the ability to absorb changes, because you cannot, future-proof as much as possible in the design. So if for example, this site, Barangaroo, is the first attempt of us designing a site that could be appropriate for a one-man band or a corporate running 100 or 150 people in here, and combining that together. So the whole thought process is, well, what needs to change? What if a company comes and say we want 75 people in here? How does that match up with all the smaller operators and the rest? And where's the common areas where people meet, and how are we going to get those encounters between a large anchor and all the small? So this is the first attempt of doing that. So it's got 3 floors. The 2 floors can be chopped up in pieces to the extent that one company can take 1 floor, but still have access to everything. It's again all about the functionality and putting your mind as to, okay, if I'm a company with 100 people, what needs to work? And again, the design just flows from there. It's kind of the easy part. It's all about functionality. And I think in most commercial projects that I've come across, and I've worked with Google and Microsoft, the bigger firms around the world, in terms of concept design through to delivery, I guess my frustration has always been not going deep enough and not having a sensitivity to all those different functions within any company that needs to be looked after, and it's often the introverts, it's often the processing workers that are not having the right kind of environment, the right ability to focus, the right ability to sit in a quiet area and do what they need to do all day long, because that's their job. I think we've been designing these spaces that are great for extroverts, that are great for that end of the spectrum, but disaster for introverts and processing workers in many cases. And it's just been, let's dress it up with some beautiful furniture and it'll work, but it doesn't.
I guess my reflection there is as well, and as you know, I've just been over in Europe for 7 weeks on an extended paternity leave or an extension, a bonus extension to my paternity leave, but also just, sort of reconnect with my Scandinavian roots as well, now that we have a little boy in our family. And one of the books that I had the privilege of reading over the holidays, I think, if any time, is Deep Work by Cal Newport. I'm sure you've probably come across it at some stage, because it's sounding like this idea that, that in the future, or even today, that what we get rewarded for as entrepreneurs, as corporates, as leaders, is the ability to kind of zone in, particularly in an age of artificial intelligence, to actually be creative. And for introverts, or for someone that, even for an extrovert, sometimes that's not going to be when we get disrupted, or when someone taps us on the shoulder and goes, what about this? Or when we have our, email, inbox open all the time, getting pinged. And I guess when I look around your space, it's very much, there is space to withdraw. There's meditation rooms. Yes. There's the yoga room. Yeah. But there's also the open spaces when you feel like you just need to get out of your chair and have a coffee and maybe bump into someone spontaneously at the bar as well.
And I think the best ideas, certainly for myself, often is, so there's intense collaboration, there's intense talks, events or whatever that is, but my ideas come when I reflect and when I have time just to be in my cave or whatever that is, and step away and sort of digest, a process all these impressions, and stuff comes out of that. And I think the ability to reflect and have an area where you go and you do reflect, it's a sanctuary almost. It's incredibly important for any space, for it to be functional. Because you can't just be sitting in noise, and you can't just be around people all the time. And with this noise around you, you need the time to reflect. I think most people do. To really capture all of those impressions, whether it's from Florence Gill, whether it's from your own books or whatever it is, just to reflect. And too often we don't get time to do that.